Mining activity has slowed. Mineral output in November fell 0.9%. That's after 3 consecutive months of growth. The drop was largely due to a drop in gold production, which fell 11.5% during the month. Iron ore, coal and diamonds also faltered. Platinum group metals softened the blow somewhat, with output ticking up 4%. BHP has reported a strong operational performance for the first half of its financial year. Copper output during the 6 months rose 10%. That's as the group's Escondida mine achieved a 10-year production record. BHP's iron ore business also reported operational improvements, with Western Australian iron ore output ticking up 1% year-on-year, and Samarco's production rising 9%. CEO Mike Henry says the firm is in good shape and it has a clear pathway for growth. Given this, BHP expects to report a strong second half and believes it will deliver production in the upper half of the guidance it's provided for each asset. The government and NUMSA say engagements are ongoing with ArcelorMittal SA. That's over its decision to close its long steel operations in Newcastle and Vereeniging, which would affect over 3,000 jobs. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition has added that a task team comprising all the economic cluster ministers have been set up to deal with the matter. 2 weeks ago, Africa's largest steel producer announced that it was winding down those operations and that the decision was due to prolonged weak economic conditions, logistics and energy challenges, and unsustainable competition from low-cost imports. Clicks has got the year off to a good start. The retailer has posted an 8% rise in group turnover for the first 20 weeks of its financial year. This was driven by higher sales of private label products and increased promotional sales, which was supported by a record Black Friday. More detail will be available when the group opens its books in April. Thungela is in for a changing of the guard. The coal miners CEO July Ndlovu will retire this year, and Moses Madondo has been announced as CEO designate. He will take up the position from August the 1st. Madondo is currently CEO of De Beers' mining operations. Nigeria's government has approved an increase in mobile service prices for the first time in over a decade. This follows a 6-year campaign by the country's mobile network operators, which includes MTN. Operators had hoped for a 100% hike, but Nigeria's Communications Commission has approved a 50% rise. The move is part of ongoing efforts to right-size the industry, which has been devastated by inflation and a historic currency devaluation. Previously, MTN indicated that an adjustment in pricing would allow it to grow and expand coverage in rural areas and increase the penetration of 5G broadband services. Naked Insurance has received more than 700 million rand in its latest funding round, backed by a group of international investors. This puts the digital startup in a position to expand its business and technology platform. Naked says it will use the funds to fuel its growth by deepening its investment in automation and AI, product and market expansion, and enhancing advertising to attract and grow its customer base. The transaction sets a new record as the largest insurtech fundraise on the African continent. And US President Donald Trump has warned BRICS nations that any move to replace the US dollar will result in 100% tariffs on trade with the United States. This would have serious implications for BRICS members, including South Africa and Nigeria, which has officially joined BRICS as a partner country. Here's the executive director from the SA Nigeria Business Chamber, Diana Games, with further insight on the potential move.
It's not clear at this stage whether it is just the main BRICS countries or the BRICS countries and partners, which would then include Nigeria. But I think we can take it as read that it would be that. I think that the thing is that the impact would be huge globally on trade, and the disruption would be enormous. Whether or not that actually brings the BRICS countries together and strengthens the bloc or weakens it, I think is one of the issues that's out there. A lot of these countries have strong relationships with the US, with trade and politically in other ways as well. If you look at Egypt, for example, in Africa, and Nigeria is very close to the US. And the question is, when you ask, would they retaliate? it's very hard to say. We're talking now about quite a large number of very disparate countries, geographically, politically, economically, etc. So, what is the thing that binds them? Maybe 100% tariff on all of them might be something that brings them together. But I think, this is a very blunt instrument that the President Trump is suggesting here. And also it has implications for America's own economy. So whether he goes through with this, what seems to be this threat that he's issued more than once now, um, remains to be seen, because I think that more work has to be done on the possible impact on America itself. And also whether these countries, would they divert their trade? Would it affect trade flows to the US? I suspect it would. And how would that play out? Would it strengthen other regions? I think that's what the other regions would want. I'm not sure that that's what the US is looking for. So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, and this is not the first time the issue has been raised, but I think that a lot more homework needs to be done on how this might play out. And I also think we have to still see it as a threat. He has made a lot of actual announcements in his first hours as president. And yes, this sounds like it's definitely on his radar, but he hasn't done anything as yet. So maybe that's a good thing.
And Games notes that it's unclear whether the potential tariffs will impact the renewal of AGOA.
It's very unclear about whether this BRICS thing will be held against Africa, given South Africa in particular's role and historical role in BRICS, or whether it's just going to be something that it's too small an issue for him to take issue with. I suppose Nigeria is not that big it has a lot of oil trade with the US, but less over the years. Other than that, it's not got a very diversified trade arrangement through AGOA. And two of the other countries, which in sub-Saharan Africa, which is Uganda and Ethiopia, are both off the AGOA list due to human rights issues and the war in Tigray. So we're talking really about two African economies, and then possibly Egypt as part of North Africa. Now, Egypt is very close to the US. So it's just, I don't think they qualify anywhere under AGOA. But, as I say, I think AGOA will be a much smaller issue for the Trump administration. And I think the only threat is because South Africa is so prominent in BRICS that there might be a fallout in this regard.